بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم وصلي عليه في كل لمحة ونفس عدد ما وسعه علم الله. I pray everybody's well, inshallah. Today we're going to be discussing the Madud, lesson number 4, inshallah, page number 28 of your textbooks, inshallah. We discussed the takbir yesterday in our previous lesson about the takbir am and also takbir khas, takbir that is general, that is done upon any surah from the Qur'an except for Surah At-Tawbah, and then takbir khas, which is performed upon after Surah Duha up until Surah An-Nas, the entire Qur'an, to the end of the entire Qur'an. So that's the what we discussed yesterday in regard to the takbirat. So today we're going to be looking at Mudud, inshallah. Let me bring the screen up. So page number 24 of your textbooks. Mad muttasil. So Madud is the plural for mad. Mad literally means to stretch. Madda yamuddu, to stretch. So when you're stretching a vowel, that's known as mad in the Arabic language. And for those who have studied the Tuhfa and Jazariya, you've got detailed discussion in the Jazariya textbook in regards to Madud, and also in the Tuhfa al-Atfal. You could purchase the copies online and have a study of them, inshallah. So let's start with mad muttasil. So mad muttasil, if a mad letter appears before a hamza in the same word. So in one single word, you have the mad and also the hamza inside the same word. It is called mad muttasil. Okay, mad that is joint. For example, إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح. إذا جاء نصر الله. So here you can see the mad, ja, and then you have the alif, and after that you have the hamza, and this is one word. From here, from the jim, alif, and the hamza, they're in a single word, and because it's all in a single word, it's known as mad muttasil. Now the turuk, the ulama differ on the duration of this mad. Okay, the ulama differ on the duration of the mad muttasil. The following durations have been transmitted. It can be recited for 4 harakah. Okay, 4 harakah meaning 4 vowels. So you open your finger, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح. إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح. That's known as التوسط. Okay, middle. And then you've got the second one, which is 5 harakah. Okay, 5 vowels, which is إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح. Okay, so you've got the 5 harakah, and that's known as فويق التوسط. So just above the middle tawassut, just above the tawassut, the middle. So فويق, just above the tawassut. So this is 4, and فويق التوسط is 5. The last one is طول. Okay, طول means long. Okay, so that's the longest you're gonna go. You ain't gonna go above this, which is 6. So that would be إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح. إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح. That's known as الطول. So مد متصل has 3 different variations. The first one, التوسط, which is the middle, 4 حركة. And the second one, 5 vowels, which is فويق التوسط, which is the middle and just above the middle. And the last one, الطول, which is long, okay, which is the longest. And you're not going to be any longer than that. So if somebody is reciting إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح, that would sound nice, but it is incorrect. Okay, so you should refrain from over exaggerating any of the mudud. Tamam. So that's basically mad muttasil, the mad that comes in a single word. You would see different tajweed books. Some would describe mad muttasil as 4 haraka. Some would describe it as 4 or 5. So why do they say 4? Why do they say 5? Because both are yajuz. And some say 6 haraka. Okay, so mad muttasil is 6 haraka. And then you might be, oh no, but according to my tajweed book, it says, 5 haraka. Or according to my tajweed book, it says 4 haraka. Or according to my tajweed book, or according to my teacher, who taught me, he said 4. Or my teacher said 5. Or my teacher said 6. They're all correct. Okay, and we only learn this through the various turuk, through the various chains of transmission, okay, from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam down to the ulama who compiled the turuk. Inshallah. Now let's look at mad munfasil. Okay, munfasil, muttasil, connected, joint. Munfasil, fasl, to be disjointed. Okay, so fasl means disjointed, separated. So how is this separated? If a mad letter appears at the end of a word, so here we have a word, yada, yada. So here the mad letter appears at the end of the word, okay, and the next word begins with a hamza, then the mad is called munfasil. So if you look at the hamza, it's starting here, abi, abi, hamza fatha, abi, abi. Tamam. So the mad letter comes at the end of the first word, the hamza comes beginning of the second word. So they are disjointed. So this is a gap between the two. So you have yada and then you have abi. This is known as mad munfasil. Okay, the turuk differ over the duration of mad munfasil also. Okay, the following durations have been transmitted. So here there's 4 different scenarios now. Okay, number 1, qasr. Qasr means to make short, like when you pray salah as a traveler, you do qasr. So 4 rak'ah, you can read it as 2 rak'ah. So similarly, here qasr means you're reading 2, short. So here 2 vowels. And how would that be recited? تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب. Again, تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب. So what's 1 haraka? Ya. So my duration of my ya fatha, ya, that's 1 haraka. Dal fatha, da, 1 haraka. So that would be تبت يدا, يدا, يدا. So a qasr mad would be 2 haraka. So yada, 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 not any longer. Yada, 2 haraka. So tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab. Okay. The next group of ulama, they transmitted, no, it can be recited as 3 vowels. So 3 vowels would be, again, the same word, fawaiq. Okay, fawaiq al-qasr. So fawaiq al-qasr means just above or just more than qasr, meaning 3 vowels for vehicle qasr. So here we're going to be doing تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب. So just longer than the 2. Then the next group of ulama, they mentioned 4 vowels, which is tawassut. Okay, tawassut. So now we've come to this level here. So munfasil starts way below the muttasil. So you remember the muttasil had 4, tawassut. Okay, muttasil has 4 and munfasil also has 4. How do you do 4? تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب. Okay, then the next one is 5 vowels فويكت توسط, just above the middle. So 4 and just above 5. تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب. تمام. So these are your 2 madud. So muttasil 4, 5 or 6. Okay, it's not and or 4 or 5 or 6. And then in munfasil 2, 3, 4 or 5. Okay, so these are your madud. Now if you notice, there's no 6 here. There's no 6 on munfasil, whereas if you look above in the muttasil, we had a 6 haraka as well, a tool. So in munfasil there is no tool in riwayah of Hafs. Okay, now some books will mention between 2 and 3, or between 3 and 4, or between 4 and 5. Okay, and the reason why the ulama mention that is so that you don't make mistakes. Like when you pray your salah, you're not going to be right reciting your salah and and then using your fingers. تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب. So you can go just above, just below. It won't be classified as a major mistake. Okay, so as long as you've got consistency in your recitation, and that's the most important thing, which I want to, before we touched upon before, we're going to touch upon this again. Okay, about the consistency and not mixing the turuq up in your recitation. So you couldn't read, for example, short on the first ayah, تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب, and then long on the second, ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب. That would be incorrect. That would be لا يجوز, not permissible. So there must be consistency. It doesn't mean that you could, at random, as you please, do a short mad, do a long mad. No, there must be consistency, inshallah. So recapping, mad muttasil, mad that's in a single word, okay, is how many haraka? 4, 5 or 6. 4, 5 or 6. And mad munfasil 2, 3, 4 or 5. Okay, and this 2 would definitely suit the hufaz. Okay, especially those who leave Taraweeh and we're in the month of Taraweeh, okay, the night prayer after Salatul Isha. So you want to complete the whole Qur'an and you want to do it as quick as you can so that your beautiful congregation don't get tired and can go home and rest and fulfill their rights at home and be fresh for the following day to fast. So you want to recite it very short. If you want to recite it very short, the shortest you can recite is harakatain. And there must be consistency. What you can't do is read مد متصل as harakatain. So you can't read إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح. Wrong. Why? There is no إذا جاء نصر الله. It's إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح. إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح. But in Surah Lahab, you can read it as تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب. Yeah, so you can read it much faster. The next mad, okay, which majority probably have not heard of, is Maddul Ta'zeem. Maddul Ta'zeem, the mad of respect, okay, and honor. Okay, this mad only comes on a specific letter word. The mad in La ilaha illallah. Okay, this mad on the lam alif is known as madul ta'zim. Okay, and it's mad munfasil. Okay, so it's similar to the category that we just discussed, mad munfasil. It's mad munfasil, which is stretched to various lengths, ranging from 2 to 5 in different turuq, in different according to different scholars. Don't worry too much at the minute about turuq. Turuq just means different scholars with different chains, and they've written their own books, and each one is authentic. So we're going to discuss, after we've understood what mad ta'zim, mad munfasil, mad muttasil, what the takbir is, what the sakt is, what is waqf, etc. And then we're going to look at which scholars have which opinions, and they're in your textbooks in the form of tables. So ranging between 2 and 5 in different turuq. According to Tariq al-Hammami in Al-Kamil, when mad munfasil is stretched to 2 vowels length, the alif of la in the La ilaha illallah can be stretched for the duration of 4 vowels in order to glorify Allah, okay, by neglecting any false gods. This is known as mad ta'zim. So basically, if you look at the ayah below, it makes sense. Okay, I've jumped ahead. Okay, if you look at this ayah here, okay, imagine you're reciting and you're doing qasr on all the Qur'an, the whole entire Qur'an, you're doing qasr, you're reading it as 2 vowels. For example, وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ وَمَا أُنزِلَ مِن قَبْلِكَ. Okay, وَلَا تَبَّتْ يَدَا أَبِي لَهَبٍ وَتَبَّ مَا أَغْنَى عَنْهُ مَالُهُ وَمَا كَسَبَ. So you're reading harakatain on mad munfasil. But when you come to Surah Baqarah, and then you come to this verse here, even though you've been doing it short, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, on this particular word, la, okay, in la ilaha illahu, you can do what? 4 vowels. So you will recite here as وَإِلَهُكُمْ إِلَهٌ وَاحِدٌ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا هُوَ الرَّحْمَنُ الرَّحِيمُ. Tamam? So even though you're reading all of it short, and La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illahu, huwallahu alladhi la ilaha illa huwa alimul ghaib, huwa alimul ghaib wa shahada. So all of these ayat where you have La ilaha illallah, you can read 4 vowels, and that's known as ta'zim, respect, negating any other false gods, illa hu, except Allah. That's what mad ta'zim is. So that's your section of madud complete. Okay, if you need more understanding, or you're not sure on madud, or you've not done the previous courses held by Darul Qur'a, the previous Tuhfat al-Atfal course was done by Imam Ammar Hafiz, Allah protect and elevate, from Rotherham. Okay, Imam of Abu Bakr Masjid, he ran the course. It's available on our YouTube channel. And the previous Muqaddimah Ibn al-Jazari course was run by Imam Israr Hussein from Nottingham. And that is also available on our YouTube channel. Go through them, and you could listen to the lectures, the Darus on Tuhfat al-Atfal and Muqaddimah Ibn al-Jazari, and it'll make a lot of sense. In your Muqaddimah Ibn al-Jazari textbook, page number 99, you have Babul Mad. Okay, Babul Mad on page number 99. You can go through it, and you can go through the videos as well. So verse number 69, 70, 71, 72, and it gives you all the different types. You've got the tables there as well, that will benefit you, inshallah. And that's in your Jazariya, and also in your Tuhfat al-Atfal. Tuhfat al-Atfal copy has it a bit more detailed in there, inshallah. Let's look at the next section now in this. After Madud in your textbook, if you look at page number 25, this is something that you've probably never heard of before, and something very, very interesting. Sakt. So what is sakt? Okay, sakt means to pause for a small duration without breaking the breath. So I touched upon this yesterday, how you can incorrectly be reciting the Qur'an and doing sakt and between verses and not taking a breath when you're trying to read fast, especially those who are huffaz reciting Salatul Taraweeh. It's a common mistake they make, where they will recite, for example, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'een, Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim, Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim, ghayri al-maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. So I read all of that in one breath, but incorrectly. Okay, and they will recite like this without even thinking, and because they've learned the Quran in that fashion, which is an incorrect fashion. Why? When you're joining one ayah to the next ayah, you must read the last vowel. So, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin. Yeah, you have to read the last vowel. There's no sakt in between. Also, reciting and doing a waqf, but not breaking your breath. For example, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin. That would also be incorrect. Why? Because you're doing the waqf, but you haven't broken your breath. So the condition in waqf, your breath must break. The condition in sakt, however, is the opposite, where your sound must stop, but your breath must not break. So sakt means to pause for a small duration without breaking the breath and then continuing your recitation. In certain turuq, sakt is done on a sakin letter if it appears before a hamza. However, the sakin letter must not be a waw or a ya in the form of a mad, meaning there's no mad in the form of a waw or a ya after this sakin letter. However, the sakin letter must not be a waw or a ya in the form of a mad. In other words, the sakin letter can be a waw lean, ya lean, or any other letter of the Arabic alphabet. So let's look at the examples now. If you look here now, there's a hamza. Okay, hamza fatha a. Ra after it is sakin. Okay, this ra is not a waw or a ya in the form of a mad. Okay, sorry, not the ra, the lam before the hamza. Wal. This lam is not in the form of a mad or form of a mad of waw or a ya. Okay, and then after it there's a hamza. Similarly here you've got lam. Okay, you've got the lam is, and after it there's a hamza, and the lam is not a waw mad or a ya mad. Okay, same with here the letter ra, qur. Ra here again is sakin, and it's not a waw or a ya that is sakin or in a form of mad. Same with khalaw. Okay, waw here is not a mad or a ya, okay, but rather a mad lean, which is, in other words, a sakin letter can be a waw lean, can be ya lean. So here it is lean, Lam fatha waw, law. But if lam had a dhamma, for example, khalu, then no. Okay, but here because it's lean is fine. Inna Allah ala kulli shay again, mad lean. Sheen fatha ya, shay. If this sheen had a kasra, she, then that would be the mad letter. Okay, with the hamza after it, then it would be mad muttasil. Okay, so this is mad yajuz. Same with man, noon sakina. It's not a waw, it's not an ya, it's not in the form of a mad, and there's a hamza after it. So these are the words that we're looking at. So how are we going to recite these? So we do a sakt here before the hamza without breaking the breath. So how? وَالْأَرْضَ وَضَعَهَا لِلْأَنَامِ. Okay, so I've done sakt. I paused, okay, for a very short duration to elaborate, to break my sound, to stop my sound, to differentiate without breaking my breath. وَالْأَرْضَ وَضَعَهَا لِلْأَنَامِ فيها فاكهة والنخل ذات الأكمام. تمام. Again. والأرض وضعها للأنام فيها فاكهة والنخل ذات الأكمام. Next one. علم القرآن. علم القرآن وإذا خلوا إلى شياطينهم إن الله على كل شيء قدير. من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر وعمل صالحا فلهم أجرهم عند ربهم وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى. So these are all of your examples. Tamam? So let's go through them once again. والأرض وضعها للأنام فيها فاكهة والنخل ذات الأكمام علم القرآن وإذا خلوا إلى شياطينهم إن الله على كل شيء قدير. من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر وعمل صالحا فلهم أجرهم عند ربهم وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى. So these are your sakt. Okay, I did not break my breath in between each one. I just took a small pause. وَلَلْآخِرَةُ وَلَلْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنَ الْأُولَى. The Turuk differ over whether or not the sakt is done on the sakin letter which precedes a hamza. There are three opinions transmitted through the various Turuk. So the first opinion is no sakt, which is transmitted through the majority of the Turuk. So there's no sakt. Okay, like the hafs that we recite according to Imam Shatibi, we don't do this. We recite it as how? وَلَلْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنَ الْأُولَى. من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر وعمل صالحا فلهم أجرهم عند ربهم إن الله على كل شيء قدير وإذا خلوا إلى شياطينهم علم القرآن والأرض وضعها للأنام فيها فاكهة والنخل ذات الأكمام. That's according to Imam Shatibi, and that's how we recite it. So Imam Shatibi would come in this number one category. Then number two, you got Saqt Khas. Okay, Saqt al-Khas is which is done on the following Alif Lam that precedes the Hamza. Okay, as we've seen before. The word Shay and every second letter that is detached. Okay, that is detached from the Hamza. Second letter at the second letter is at the end of a word, and the Hamza is at the beginning of the next word. For example, in, anta, in, anta. So these are two different words. So in, anta. And then number three, Sakt Am. So Saktul Am, which is done on the following. Let's get the next page up for you. So Alif Lam that precedes the Hamza, the word Shay, and every second letter before. So we've done this. So you've got no Sakt, which is transmitted through the majority of the Turuk. Then you got Sakt al-Khas, which is done on the following Alif Lam Mim that precedes the Hamza, the word Shay, and every second letter that is detached from the Hamza, like in Anta. Then Sakt al-Am, okay, which is different, which is done Alif Lam Mim that precedes the Hamza, the word Shay, and every second letter before the Hamza be detached or attached. Okay, so irrespective of the second letter and the Hamza beginning in the same word or in two separate words. Okay, so wherever it comes. And that we look at the tables later, inshallah. That's your basically your sakin not sakin, your sakt. So sakt, not all the Turuk follow. Okay, so according to us, we recite according to Imam Shatibi. According to Imam Shatibi, we don't do sakt at all. Tamam? So that's your sakt. So sakt is different from waqf. Waqf is where you break your breath. In sakt, you don't break your breath. So next, page 27. So if you look at page 27, this is another interesting part that majority won't be aware of. And it's very interesting. Idgham. So we all are aware of doing idgham and nun sakina and tanween into the lam and ra. Okay. So idgham of nun sakina and tanween into lam and ra. Okay. Do we normally do idgham? Yes, we do. Okay. So on certain letters we don't, which are ya, noon, mim, and waw, yanmu. Okay, so when noon sakina or tanween appears before the yarmalun letters, the yarmalun letters are ya, ra, mim, lam, waw, and noon. The noon sakina or tanween is merged into the yarmalun letters. Okay, the yarmalun letters can be divided into two types. So the first type, idgham with gunna. Okay, second one, idgham without gunna. So here with gunna, min masad, min masad. And here we don't. فويل فويل للمصلين فويل للمصلين. Okay. Note, when idgham is done without ghunna, okay, on the lam and ra, it is called idgham kamil, complete idgham. Why? Because the tanween or the noon is merged into the lam or ra that follows, because nothing of the noon sakina and tanween remains. However, if idgham is done with ghunna, okay, it is called idgham naqis, okay, incomplete idgham, because the attribute of ghunna still remains. Okay, so the attribute of ghunna still remains in the form of a noon sakina or tanween. According to most turuq, if the noon sakina or tanween precedes one of the following, yanmu, then ghunna is also done. Okay, according to most of the turuq. Whereas if it appears before lam ra, then ghunna is not done with the idgham at all. However, according to some turuq, here, this is key. According to some turuq, ghunna is also done on letters, done on all letters of yarmalun, including the lam and ra. In other words, ghunna is done even if lam or ra appear, okay, after the noon sakin or tanween. So even on the example for waylul lil musallin, okay, idgham will be done with ghunna. Idgham will be done with a ghunna in this example as well. So meaning all of these, you do idgham with ghunna. You don't hide the ghunna in this. There's no idgham tam. Okay, so let's look at the examples. Note, according to Imam Ibn al-Jazari rahimahumullah, idgham with ghunna is only done in those situations where the noon sakina and tanween is written separated, maqtu', to the lam ra, meaning they're two separate. Like فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا. Okay, if the noon sakina is written connected, mawsool, in one word, then ghunna is done. Okay, no ghunna is done. Okay, because you can't physically see a noon sakina. So this example here, the way we are taught normally, we recite it as فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا. With ghunna would be فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا فَإِن. So you take your tarful lisan to the makhraj of lam, fa'il, but make the nasal sound, fa'in lam taf'alu. Okay, but in this example here, you wouldn't do that. You would recite it as fa'il lam. Okay, why? Because you can't see the actual noon. Tamam. And the example on the previous page, so we normally recite this as fawailul, tanween. Okay, tanween, and then you got lam here. How do we normally recite it? Fawailul lil musallin. And how are we going to recite it with idgham bighunna? Fawailul lil musallin. Fawailul lil musallin. Fawailul lul. So you're making the nasal sound. فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. Here there's no nasal sound. صَلِّينَ صَلِّينَ. فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. تمام. I hope that makes sense. So that's your idgham with ghunna and all of the yarmulun letters, and we'll talk about which turuq do what. Okay, which ones agree, which ones disagree, inshallah. So the next page 29, we're looking at four particular words. Yabsutu with a sad, bastatan with a sad, bimusaytirun with the sin on top, or bimusaytir with the sin on top. Now, these two are questioned quite a lot by students, okay? Especially those who are teaching Juz Amma, okay? And you're teaching Surah Al-Ghashiyah, هل أتاك حديث الغاشية, and you come across فذكر إنما أنت مذكر لست عليهم بمسيطر. Is it بمسيطر? Is it بمسيطر? Which one is correct? How should we recite this? Okay, same with المسيطرون, or is it مسيطرون? Is it بسطة or is it بسطة? Is it يبسط or is it يبسط? According to some turuq, the above words are recited with a sin, whilst others recite them with a sad. This is the same qira'ah of Imam Nafi'i. Okay, Imam Nafi'i's qira'ah, Hafs, Rawaya Hafs, the one that we all reciting. So there's a difference of opinion on these now. Is it sin or is it sad? For more details, see the tables in this book from page 36 onwards. Okay, so you notice they're all referring towards page 36. So when we get to page 36, that's when we'll understand who does what. Okay, they are found in the following verses. Okay, Surah Baqarah 245, Surah A'raf 69, and Surah At-Tur 37, and Surah Al-Ghashiyah verse 22. Okay, and Surah Ghashiyah is the one that majority of the students are familiar with when they are learning Juz Amma or they are teaching in Madaris. That's where the majority of the questions come in. Why is there small sin? Which one do we recite? And this question I normally get at least once to twice a month, this question, from teachers, not from students, from teachers in different madaris. When they're teaching, they come across this, they don't know how to do the spelling for the child, they don't know how to explain it, they're not sure why it's there. Which one are we reciting in? The sad, okay, that's written in the word, or the scene? We're going to talk about Rasm Qur'an, inshallah, later on, and that will give you more clarity, especially those who are teaching tajweed. So that's another difference between the turuq. Okay, the next difference between the turuq, the second hamza in the words Allahu. There's two hamzas here. One, the hamza that you could see, and one is the alif in the form of a hamza. So double hamza here, double hamza here, and a double hamza here. Okay, let's look at the verses. Surah Al-An'am 143. You got the verse here. قُلْ الذَّكَرَيْنِ, and قُلْ الذَّكَرَيْنِ, verse 144, 143, twice in the same surah. Then you've got الآن in Surah Yunus 551. Then you got الآن again in Surah Yunus 91. And then قُلْ Allahu, Surah Yunus 59. And then Allahu again in Surah Baqarah 245. So now we're going to be discussing about these words and how do we recite them. Okay, and which ways can we recite them? Is it only with the mad? Or is there something else that we could do? Okay, so let's look at this. Page number 30. These words are made up of two hamzas. The first hamza, okay, the first is a hamza of interrogation, istifham, okay, used to form a question, yeah. And the second hamza is of wasl, of connecting and joining. So basically, what it means, the first hamza, istifham, is the question one, yeah, is the question. The second hamza is wasl, to join the question with the word in Arabic language. So how do we do them? So the original form is a الذكرين, a question, الذكرين, a الآن, a Allah. Tamam? That's the original form. A hamza fatha, question, istifham, then الذكرين, a الآن, a Allah. Now because there's two hamzas that are so close, how do we recite them? That's how they're written in the Qur'an, okay, with the mad, and that's how they are originally. Let's look at the differences now. The Turuk differ over the pronunciation of the second hamza in these words. The second hamza, we're looking at this hamza here, okay, and same with this one, and same with the hamza before Allah. That's the hamza we're talking about. So the Turuk differ over the pronunciation of the second hamza, not the istifham one, the questioning one. All Turuk allow the second hamza to be converted into an alif, meaning ibdal. Remember mad al-badal? And recited as a mad with the duration of 6 vowels. Ishba'. Okay, all the Turuk agree with that. Okay, so all Turuk allow the second hamza to be converted. So when you convert it, we're going to recite it as الذكرين الآن الله. تمام. So 6 حركة. الذكرين الآن الله. Tamam. And that's ishba' means exaggeration with extra length, meaning 6, just to differentiate this between everything else. Okay. Some Turuk also allow it to be recited with tasheel. Tasheel means to make ease, okay, soft, okay. So to make something soft, bain, in between, in which case it is pronounced with a sound that is in between a hamza and an alif. In between a hamza and an alif. So hamza is sharp, alif is soft, okay. So in between a hamza and an alif, so meaning soften the second hamza, okay. In other words, it does not sound like a complete hamza, and nor does it sound a clear like an alif, okay. Yet its sound is in between the two. So for example, the first one, come on, okay, it's not gonna let me highlight it. It ain't working. Okay, anyway, so the first hamza, this one here, we're going to recite it full. The second one, we're going to recite it very soft. Okay, we're not going to make it into a ha. La, not from your aqsa al-halq. We're using your volume in your chest. So we're going to make it softer than a hamza, okay? Softer than a hamza and sharper than an alif. So الذكرين الآن الله الله but the first one's going to be sharper, the second one's going to be tasheel, a little bit lighter. It should not be given the sound of a ha. So الذكرين wrong. Okay, الذكرين الله الآن. Okay, so that's your section complete on these words. The second hamza in the words الذكرين الله and الآن. Okay, this is so daisy. Let's complete this quickly as much as we can. Page number 31. Here we're going to be looking at idgham again. And those who've studied tajweed with me before, I always mention idgham is one of the biggest chapters in tajweed. One of the biggest chapters. Okay. So here we got idgham again. The turuq here differ over whether or not idgham is done on the following verses of the Qur'an. Okay, these are particular verses in the Qur'an, not general all over the Qur'an, just particular verses, particular words. The first one, idgham of the tha into the dhal. Yalhath dhalika. Do idgham here. If we don't idgham, we will be reciting as يلحظ ذلك يلحظ ذلك. And the next one اركب قلقلة معنا اركب معنا كب معنا كب معنا. And the second way يا بني كم معنا كم كاف فتحة ميم مشدد كم. You're not even reading the ba. Here you're not even reading the tha. Both of these two drop. Tamam? So one's in Surah Hud and one is Surah A'raf. Idgham of the noon in Yasin, okay, in the beginning of Surah Yasin, into the waw that follows it. So one way we recite it as Ya harakatain. Then we do Sin, 6 haraka. So Ya Sin wal Qur'anil Hakim. One way we could recite this. Second way we could recite this without work. Yasin wal Qur'anil Hakim. Okay. The third way is doing the idgham between the two. Okay. Yasin wal Qur'anil Hakim. Or Yasin wal Qur'anil Hakim. Same with Noon. Idgham of Noon into the falling waw of wal qalami wa ma yastarun, Surah Qalam. One is Noon wal qalami wa ma yasturun. Second way, Noon wal qalami wa ma yasturun. Third way, Noon wal qalami wa ma yasturun. Okay, so doing the idgham of the noon into the waw. Doing the idgham of the noon in Yasin into the waw of wal qalami, wal Qur'an al Hakim. The next part, the word la ta'manna in Surah Yusuf. La ta'manna. According to Ash-Shatibiyyah, okay, this Surah Yusuf, verse number 11. According to Imam Shatibi, the one that we all, majority in UK and Indo-Pakistan follow, There are two ways of reciting it. The first idgham, okay, first way is the idgham of the meme into the noon, okay, with ishmam. And number 8, ishmam means to indicate towards a dhamma, rolling your tongues like oo, boo, tu. Dammu shafatain, rolling, making your lips into a round shape with lips, making them round without pronouncing the sound of a dhamma. The person watching with the eyesight will know that the reciter is indicating towards a dhamma, but will not be able to hear it. Okay? So according to Imam Shatibi, who majority of us follow, there are two ways of reciting it. First, with the dhamma, idgham of the meme into the noon with ishmam. The second, with rom, okay, which is to not to do idgham, but to recite the dhamma, okay, of the first noon with a small amount of dhamma, 2 out of 3, very 2/3 of the dhamma of its sound, okay, should be missing. Like that. I'll give the examples later. Let's look at what rom means. Another word for rom is ikhtilas, which means to recite a partial vowel, okay, where most of the sound is missing. Okay, 2/3 is missing, just a fraction, 1/3. Approximately 2/3 is missing. So let's look at the two ways of Imam Shatibi. The first way, in Surah Yusuf, verse number 11. After lesson, do open your Qur'ans and have a look at this verse. So, how are we going to recite this? قالوا يا أبانا ما لك لا تأمنا على يوسف. Okay, لا تأمنا على يوسف. لا تأمنا. لا تأمنا. So all I've done on the ghunna of the noon, I've rounded my lips, but not changed the sound. لا تأمنا. لا تأمنا. That's the first way. The second way, we're going to recite the harakah. Now this word لا تأمنا was originally لا تأمنونا. لا تأمنونا. There's two noons. Okay, there's two noons. So we've done idgham. لا تأمنا. And the ishmam, the rounding, indicates the original noon, which is noon dhamma. Here, right in the middle there. Indicates towards the original noon, the dhamma. Hence why we're doing the ishmam. Okay. Now with the second scenario, we're going to do rom. Okay. Rom means reading a very partial, very slight. Okay. How are we going to read it? لا تأمننا. لا تأمننا. ننا. No, 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 no. Not no. Don't read noon dhamma no. No, 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 no. Just a little fraction. Just the beginning of the no. Yeah, just the beginning. 1/3. لا تأمننا. لا تأمننا. قالوا يا أبانا ما لك لا تأمننا. Okay, so that's the second way on how you could recite this. Let me get the verse up in Surah Yusuf, verse number 11. قالوا يا أبانا ما لك لا تأمننا. قالوا يا أبانا ما لك لا تأمننا. If you can, I'll try to hold it up. You should be able to see it. In the Mus'haf, there's a dot on top of it. Okay, the dot on top of it indicating towards the ishmam. So the meme has a dot on top. That dot is indicating towards the ishmam. Okay, so there's two ways you can recite this. قالوا يا أبانا ما لك لا تأمنا على يوسف. Second way, قالوا يا أبانا ما لك لا تأمننا على يوسف. Okay, and both of them are correct according to Imam Ash-Shatibi. According to the Turuk mentioned in Taibat al-Nashr, some permit both ways, whilst others only permit Ishmam. Okay, so we'll look at who allows both, who allows only one. Okay, so we'll go through all of the Turuk, which ulama, which a'imma allow what. 735, and I want you to complete page 32 and 33 as well. Okay, we'll complete the page 32, 33 tomorrow, inshallah. And then if you look at page 35, Tariqul Hashimi, and that's when we start onto the actual Turuq. Okay, this is just the background on where the ulama are going to differ. So page 32 and 33, once we complete them, so the way you could understand it simply is that what are the differences in riwayah of Hafs an Asim, according to the scholars? All the differences we've discussed so far, except for the sakt on page 32, and then on page 33, we're looking at the tafkhim and tarqiq of a few words and a few other special words in the Quran. Other than that, there's no other difference. These are the only places where the ulama differ. Okay, they're like the length of the madud. Is there a sakt or not? وَلَلْ آخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنَ الْأُولَى. Is there an idgham on lam and ra with a ghunna, or are they without the ghunna? Yeah, because we have obviously learnt in Tuhfat al-Atfal and Jazariya and everywhere, we've been studying that lam yanmu letters are the letters of yarmulun that we do idgham bil ghunna, idgham with ghunna, and lam ra bi ghayri ghunna, without ghunna. Okay, so how come we're talking about now lam ra and we're doing ghunna on it as well? So we're contradicting to what we've been teaching in Tuhfa and Jazariya. So it's not a contradiction, it's just that the riwayah of Hafs is so vast. There are 52 different turuq, 52 different variations on how our qira'ah is recited. And this is not something that's negative. This is not something that we should be sad about. This is something that we should praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with and count it as a blessing that there's so many different ways we can recite the Quran, and each one is correct. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has protected the Quran in every single form. Every single way Quran has been protected. And then inshallah at the end of this course, time permitting, I will go through the Rasm Quran and give you some examples from the Rasm Quran, especially the some brother and sister have question in regards to the Rasm Quran. So we'll talk about that as well once we complete this. There was a question. Let me just look at the online questions first. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Question. I've seen 3 in some qaidas. Is this correct also? Sorry, 6 minutes 41. I don't know what I was talking about then, so I'm not sure what the question is. Perhaps I read it regarding Madd Munfasil. Never mind. That's good. Big shout out to Robert Bradley, beautiful brother, mashallah. Yasin, I love you for the sake of Allah. Is Mad Tazim just for this verse, or is it for wherever La ilaha illallah comes? For everywhere. wherever La ilaha illallah comes, Surah Hashr, Ayat al-Kursi, wherever. Okay, I can't think of any other verse top of my head right now. Assalamu alaikum. How is gunna? How is gunna done when noon does idgham into the ra, because the ra has the quality of taqreer, causing the tip of the tongue to vibrate and not leaving it near the place with the noon? Okay, good question. So when you're doing the idgham, let me get an example. It'll be easier. Just give me a second. Let me find you an example. If you look at page number 72, page number 72 of your textbook. Min, you have a noon, then rabbik. Min rabbik. How would we normally recite it? Mir rabbik. Yeah? Mir, ra is full mouth. Mir rabbik. Mir rabbik. Okay. When we're doing the idgham with gunna, mir rabbik. Mir, sound still comes to the nose. Mir rabbik. So اتبع ما أوحي إليك من ربك So hold the tongue in the makhraj of ra and nasalize it. Okay, so there'll be less of a taqreer, because normally taqreer is the pushing of the a from the tarf al-lisan, from the gap. But here the sound is coming to the nose, so taqreer will be lighter. It'll still be there, because taqreer is a permanent sifa, okay, from the sifat al-lazima. So you can't delete or eradicate the sifa of taqreer. Sifa of taqreer would always be there, inshallah. So again, اتبع ما أوحي إليك من ربك. Tamam? And then look at the one after that. La ilaha illahu. Here you got the mad ta'zim. So imagine I read the first mad short. اتبع ما أوحي إليك من ربك لا إله إلا هو. So here I'm doing mad ta'zim, making it long, even though on اتبع ما I made it short, okay, to qasr harakatain, but on the la I'm still make it long. Why? It's mad ta'zim, inshallah. And beneath that you could see there's 8 different ways in total you could recite this ayah. Just this ayah, 8 different ways. Okay, but we'll go through this, inshallah. I don't want everyone to jump ahead and get confused. Would be pronounced from, this would leave the ghunna occurring and then not occurring repeatedly. Could this be demonstrated and explained, please? So I think I've done a brilliant job explaining it, inshallah. Barakallah feekum. There's a question that came on WhatsApp. Let me just double check. ومن الناس من يقول آمنا بالله وباليوم الآخر وما هم بمؤمنين. Okay, salam. Just regarding the third Turuk lesson yesterday, do these rulings still apply in Salah, or is it when someone is reciting aloud only? Okay, if you recite the Quran according to any one of these Turuk, okay, you recite the Quran according to any one of these Turuk, okay, it's fine. You can recite any one of these Turuk in Salah. Okay, they are all perfectly fine. They're all legit. They're all original, and you can recite in any one of them. Okay, so it's not like in Salah we can only do this and we can't do none of them. Whichever way you do, whichever way you recite, you must maintain consistency. You can't be reciting short وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ وَمَا أُنزِلَ مِن قَبْلِكَ. No. You can't just willy-nilly change and chop and add and take away from one into another tariq. You can't do that. It must be consistency. You must follow each tariq to its T, to the best of your knowledge and ability. There shouldn't be chopping and changing. And same with qira'at. You can't be reciting one qira'ah, you're reciting according to hafs, and then halfway through the ayah, you change to susi, and halfway, and then the ending of the ayah, you go into warsh, then you go into qalun, and then you go into this, and make into a khichdi, what they call in Punjabi. Yeah. So no khichdi business. So you learn one tariq, you follow that one tariq. You learn another tariq, you follow that tariq. Okay. So you can't be chopping and changing. Just like in madhahib, you can't be following Hanafi madhab and then Shafi'i madhab and then a bit of Maliki madhab and a bit of Hanbali madhab and become a cocktail. And similarly, you can't be in qira'ah chopping and changing. But you can recite your salah according to Imam Shafi'i. Complete. Follow the madhab of Imam Shafi'i. No problem. You could follow the madhab of Imam Malik completely. No problem. You could follow the madhab of Imam Abu Hanifa completely. No problem. You can follow the qira'ah of Qalun. You can follow the qira'ah of, I think it was about 2 years ago. For a whole entire year, I recited in the riwayah of Warsh. Not Warsh, sorry, Susi. Susi I enjoy, as I've mentioned plenty of times. I enjoyed the riwayah of Susi, and I recited everything, even in my salah, I will recite in Susi. Well, whichever I have to recite, I'll recite in Susi. Just whole year of Susi. No problem. You could do that. And that's qira'at. But in Turuk also, if you want to do qasr munfasil, all the munfasil madud, you want to do qasr, follow the tariq that does qasr on munfasil and follow it completely. So you can't be like, okay, I'm going to follow this imam in qasr, but I'm going to follow that imam in idgham on the lam and ra, and I'm going to follow this imam on the sakt and mix it up into a khichdi. Okay, that's something that you can't do. And the tables from page 36 onwards, okay, you could follow any one of them, but you'd have to maintain. But we'll talk about how the tables work, and it's very, very easy. It's so easy, it's unbelievable. And you could follow any one of these schools. These are the different schools of qira'at in the of Turuk in the riwayah of Hafs, and you could comfortably follow any one in particular, and there's no issues. There's no halal or haram. There's no that can I do in my salah or outside my salah. Yes, it's a different argument where when somebody who hears you reciting and they don't understand Turuk, and they'll say, you know, Qari Sahib ji or Ustaz Sahib, you're reciting it wrong. And that's happened to me. I was reciting Qur'an in I can't remember where, and it was this ayah, وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ, and also Surah Kafirun, مد منفصل. قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ لَا أَعْبُدُ مَا تَعْبُدُونَ وَلَا أَنْتُمْ عَابِدُونَ مَا أَعْبُدُ. So I was reciting this, short. Okay, and somebody actually spoke out, and they said, no, Qari Sahib, make the mud longer. So I just repeated. Okay. قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ لَا أَعْبُدُ مَا تَعْبُدُونَ. And they had a mashallah, a very beautiful big smile on their face. So perfectly fine. So people will speak against you, those who don't know, and you have to just humble yourself and take you on the chin, like Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali or Khabib, and accept it. And there's no point arguing with people. There's no point arguing with them. No, you know, you don't know tajweed, and you don't know who you're talking to, and you can do this and you can do that, and according to this imam and according to that imam and according to this book and according to that book and according to Sheikh Abu Adam, you could do this. So you don't need to drop no names and books. Somebody doesn't know, just Jazakallah. Thank you for informing me. You know, thank you for helping, because he had good intention. He actually believed that I was making a mistake, so he has got his reward for that, and which is fine. So you just accept it and fine. But in regard to the question the brothers asked, can you recite this in Salah in one of these turuk? Yes, you can. Okay, as long as you're not mixing, chopping, and changing, inshallah. Barakallah feekum jami'an, and enjoy your iftar today, inshallah. Remember myself and especially Darul Qur'a in your du'as, and those who can financially support Darul Qur'a this Ramadan, please do so. Please do so. Darul Qur'a needs your funding and your support. We are currently extending our masjid, and we are struggling financially, extremely struggling financially to renovate and complete the masjid and have it open by September. So those who can support the masajid, the houses of Allah, there's a great reward for you in the hereafter. It's investing in the hereafter. It's like if you have a property in Jannah, okay, you won't be refused entry into Jannah because you are a sahibul beat. You're the owner. You have milk. You have ownership of a property in Jannah by making a house of Allah in this dunya. So do support Darul Qur'a. You can contact Darul Qur'a on any one of the numbers. There's a number on the screen you could take it from on our videos on Instagram, Facebook. You can contact us. You can make a donation to Darul Qur'a. And those who can fundraise for Darul Qur'a, please contact me and I can help you fundraise for Darul Qur'a. So we need a lot of money, between 80 to 100,000 pounds, to complete the process. And Darul Qur'a has been closed for over 2 years now. Over 2 years we've been closed. The masjid has been closed. No salah inside the masjid, no Jum'ah, no Taraweeh, no nothing. And that's going to stay closed until we can complete the extension. And extension is complete. Is the internal refurbishment of carpets, windows, electricity, plumbing, lighting, the sisters' hall upstairs, wudu areas, accommodation for students on the 3rd floor. And it's the only institute that is set up for Qur'an and just for Qur'an. So do contribute, inshallah. Barakallah feekum jami'an. Until tomorrow, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Can I give zakat to your organization? Yes, you can give zakat, but we can't use the zakat for the masjid. Okay, zakat we are sending to Egypt, to orphans, widows, and students of knowledge. Okay, poor students in Egypt who are studying, we send them zakat. We also send zakat to Pakistan. Darul Qur'a has a mother Darul Qur'an in Egypt, which was set up by my grandfather originally, and then run by my father. And they weren't ulama or Qurra, they just had passion for helping people. So we have orphans in our madrasa. There's approximately 30 plus orphans in Pakistan. Azad Kashmir and a place called Chitrapuri, just outside Mirpur, opposite the Mangla Dam, next to the medical college, Benazir Bhutto Medical College in Pakistan. We have our own madrasa. That madrasa doesn't need a lot of money, to be honest with you. Our family support it, and alhamdulillah, it's running very well. We have secular education, English, maths, and science, Urdu, Islamic studies, and we also have full-time hifz program for the children that are poor and orphans who study there. There's also another brother, Hafiz Asif Qayyum. He's also part of a charity in Pakistan supporting orphans, strictly orphans, and they actually have a orphanage. And that's the third place that we're going to be supporting this year, Ramadan. And so you can donate your zakat to Darul Qur'a, but do specify it's zakat and it's not for the masjid. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.